zoo. I said I've been to the zoo. Mister! I've been to the zoo.
Oh, I'm sorry. Were you talking to me?
I went to the zoo and then I walked until I came here. Have I been walking north?
Why, yes, I think so. Let me see.
Is that Fifth Avenue over there?
Why, yes, it is.
And what's that cross street there? That one to the right.
Oh, that's 74th Street.
And the zoo is around 65th Street. So I've been walking north.
Yes, it would seem so.
Good old north. But not due north.
No, not due north, but we call it north. It's northerly.
Oh, boy. You're not gonna get lung cancer, are you?
No, sir, not from this.
No, sir. What you'll probably get is cancer of the mouth. And you'll have to wear one of those things that Freud wore. After they took one whole side of his jaw away. What do they call those things?
A prosthesis.
The very thing. A prosthesis. Oh, you're an educated man, aren't you? Are you a doctor?
No, I read it somewhere. Time magazine, I think.
Well, Time magazine isn't for blockheads.
No, I guess not.
Boy, I'm glad that's Fifth Avenue over there.
Yes.
I don't like the west side of the park much.
Oh? Why?
No! Do you mind if we talk?
No. No?
Yes, you do. You do.
No, I don't mind at all.
Yes, you do.
No, really, I don't mind.
It's a nice day.
Yes. Yes, it is lovely.
I've been to the zoo.
Yes, I think you said so, didn't you?
I bet you got TV, huh?
Yes. We've got two. One for the kids.
You married?
Why, certainly.
It isn't a law, for God's sake.
Well, I suppose not.
And you have a wife.
Yes.
And you have children.
Yes, two.
Boys?
No, girls, both girls.
But you wanted boys.
Well, naturally, every man would like a son to carry on.
But that's the way the cookie crumbles.
Well, I wasn't going to say that.
And you're not going to have any more kids, are you?
No. No more. Why did you say that? How would you know about that?
The way you cross your legs, perhaps? Something in the voice? Or maybe I'm just guessing. Is it your wife?
Nah, that's none of your business. Do you hear? Well, you're right. There'll be no more children.
That is the way the cookie crumbles.
Yeah. I guess so.
Do you mind if I ask you questions?
No. No?
I'll tell you why I do it. I don't talk to many people. Well, except to say, like, give me a beer or Where's the John? Or what time does the feature go on? Or keep your hands to yourself, buddy. You know, things like that.
Well, honestly, I don't...
But every once in a while, I like to talk to somebody. Really talk. Like to get to know somebody. Know all about him.
I'm your guinea pig for today, am I?
On a fine, sun-drenched Sunday afternoon in the park such as this, who better than a nice married man with a wife, 2 daughters, and... a dog? No. 2 dogs? No dogs? Well, that's a shame. But you look like an animal, man. Cats! Cats. But that can't be your idea, no sir. Your wife and daughters. Is there anything else I should know?
There are 2 parakeets. 1 for each of my daughters.
Birds.
My daughters keep them in a cage in their bedroom.
Do they carry disease? The birds.
No, I don't think so.
Oh, that's too bad. If they did, you could let them loose in the house and the cats could eat them and die, maybe. All right, let's see now. Oh, what do you do to support your enormous household?
Well, I have an executive position for a small publishing house. We publish textbooks.
That sounds nice. Very nice. What do you make?
Oh, now, look here.
Oh, come on.
Well, I make around 200,000 a year. But I never carry more than $40 at one time, in case you're a hold-up man.
Where do you live? Oh, look, I'm not gonna rob you. And I'm not gonna kidnap your parakeets, your cats, or your daughters.
Well, I live between Lexington and 3rd Avenue on 74th Street.
There. That wasn't so hard, was it?
Well, I don't mean to seem, but you don't really carry on a conversation, do you? You just ask questions. And I am normally reticent, and why do you just stand there?
Oh, I'll stop walking around in a little while. And then maybe later I'll sit down. Say, what's the dividing line between upper middle class and lower upper middle class?
Oh, my dear fellow.
Don't! My dear fellow me.
I'm sorry. Was I patronizing? I believe I was. It's just, you see, your question about the classes bewildered me.
When you're bewildered, you become patronizing?
I'm into writing, not publishing, not writing. I don't express myself too well sometimes.
So be it. The truth is, I was being patronizing.
Oh, no, I really wouldn't say that.
All right. So who are your favorite writers? Baudelaire? Stephen King?
Well, I like a great many writers, as it so happens. I have a considerable catholicity of taste, if I may say so. Now, both those men are fine each in his way. Baudelaire, of course, is by far the finer of the two. But Stephen King has his place in our national...
Skip it!
I'm sorry.
Do you know what I did before I went to the zoo today? I walked all the way up 5th Avenue from Washington Square. All the way.
You live in Greenwich Village.
No, I don't. I took the subway down to the village so that I could walk all the way up 5th Avenue to the zoo. It's one of those things that a person has to do. Sometimes a person has to go a very long distance out of the way in order to come back a short distance correctly.
And I thought you lived in Greenwich Village.
What were you trying to do? Make sense out of things? Bring order? The old pigeonhole bit? Well, that's easy, I'll tell you. I live in a 4-story brownstone rooming house on the Upper West Side, between Columbus Avenue and Central Park West. I live on the top floor, rear, west. It's a laughably small room, and one of my walls is made up of beaver board. This beaver board separates my room from another laughably small room, so I assumed that the two rooms were once one room. Well, a small room, but not necessarily laughable. Now, the room beyond my beaverboard wall is occupied by a black queen who always keeps his door open. Well, not always, but always when he's plucking his eyebrows, which he does with Buddhist concentration. Now, this black queen has rotten teeth, which is pretty rare. And he has a Japanese kimono, which is also pretty rare. And he wears his kimono as he walks to and from the John in the hall, which is pretty frequent. I mean, he goes to the John a lot. He never bothers me, and he never brings anybody to his room. All he does is pluck his eyebrows, wear his kimono, and go to the John. Now, the two front rooms on my floor are a little larger, I guess, but they're pretty small too. There's a Puerto Rican family living in one of them. A husband, a wife, and some kids. Now, I don't know how many. These people entertain a lot. And in the other front room, there's somebody living there, but I don't know who it is. I've never seen who it is. Never. Never, ever.
Why do you live there?
I don't know.
Doesn't seem a nice place where you live.
Well, no. It isn't an apartment in the East 70s. But then again, I don't have a wife, 2 daughters, 2 cats, and 2 parakeets. What I do have are some toilet articles, a few clothes, a hot plate that I'm not supposed to have, a can opener, one that works with a key, you know, a knife, 2 forks and 2 spoons, 1 small, 1 large, 3 plates, a cup, a saucer, a drinking glass, 2 picture frames, both empty, 8 or 9 books, and a pack of pornographic playing cards, regular deck, and an old Western Union typewriter that prints nothing but capital letters. Oh, and a small strongbox without a lock, which has in it what? Rocks. Sea-rounded rocks that I picked up from the beach when I was a kid, underneath which, way down, are some letters. Please, letters. Please, why don't you do this? And please, why don't you do that, letters? And when letters, too. When will you write? When will you come? When? These letters are for more recent years.
About those 2 empty picture frames.
I don't see why they need any explanation at all. Isn't it clear? I don't have pictures of anybody to put in them.
Your parents? Perhaps a girlfriend?
You're a very sweet man, and you're possessed of a truly enviable innocence. But good old Mom and good old Pop are dead. You know? Oh, and I'm broken up about it too. I mean, really. But that particular vaudeville act is playing the clown circuit right now, so I don't really see how I can look at them all neat and framed. Besides, or rather, to be pointed about it, good old Mom walked out on good old Pop when I was 10.5 years old. She embarked on an adulterous tour of our southern states, a journey of a year's duration. And her most constant companion, among others, among many others, was a Mr. Barleycorn. Well, at least that's what good old Pop told me. After he went down, came back, brought her body north. We'd received the news between Christmas and New Year's, you see. Good old Mom had parted with the ghost in some dump in Alabama. Without the ghost, she was less welcome. I mean, what was she? A stiff. A northern stiff. At any rate, good old Pop celebrated the New Year for an even 2 weeks before he slept into the front of a somewhat moving city omnibus. Which sort of cleaned things out family-wise. No, wait. Then there was Mom's sister, who was given neither the sin nor the consolations of the bottle. I moved in on her, and my memory of her is slight. Accepting? I remember still she did all things dourly. Eating, sleeping, working, praying. She dropped down on the stairs to her apartment. Oh, my apartment then too. On the afternoon of my high school graduation. A terribly Middle European joke, if you ask me.
Oh my, oh my.
Oh, you're what? Anyway, it was a long time ago now, and I have no feeling about any of it that I care to admit to myself. Perhaps you can see, though, why good old Mom and good old Pop are frameless. Oh, what's your name? Your first name?
I'm Peter.
I forgot to ask you. I'm Jerry.
Hello, Jerry.
And let's see now. What's the point of having a girl's picture? Especially in 2 frames. I had 2 picture frames, remember? I never see the pretty little ladies more than once. And most of them wouldn't be caught in the same room as a camera. It's odd. And I wonder if it's sad.
The girls?
No. I wonder if it's sad that I only see the little ladies more than once. Just once. That's it. I've never been able to have sex with... Oh. Or how is it put? Make love to somebody more than once. Just once. No. Wait. For a week and a half, when I was 15, oh, and I hang my head in shame that puberty was late. I was a homosexual. I mean, I was queer. Queer, queer, queer. With bells ringing and banners snapping in the wind. For those 11 days, I met at least twice a day with the park superintendent's son. A Greek boy whose birthday was the same as mine. Except he was a year older than me. I think I was very much in love. Maybe just with sex. But that was the jazz of a very special hotel, wasn't it? And now, do I love the little ladies. Oh, really, I love them. For about an hour.
Well, it all seems perfectly clear to me. You just know.
Look!
Right.
Are you gonna tell me to get married and have parakeets?
Forget the parakeets. Stay single if you want to. I didn't start this conversation.
All right. I'm sorry. You're not angry?
No, I'm not angry.
Good. Interesting that you asked me about the picture frames. I thought you'd have asked me about the pornographic playing cards.
Well, I've seen those cards, of course.
That's not the point. I guess when you were a kid, you and your pals used to pass them around, or you had a pack of your own.
Well, I guess a lot of us did back then.
And you threw them away just before you got married.
Now, look here, I didn't need anything like that when I got older.
No?
I don't want to talk about these things.
So, don't. Besides, I wasn't trying to plumb your post-adolescent sexual life in hard times. What I wanted to get at is the value difference between pornographic playing cards when you're a kid and pornographic playing cards when you're older. It's that when you're a kid, you use the cards as a substitute for the real experience. And then when you're older, you use the real experience as a substitute for the fantasy. You see? Oh, but I imagine you'd rather hear about what happened at the zoo.
Oh yes, the zoo. Yes.
First, let me tell you why I went. No. First, let me tell you some things. Now, I told you about the 4th floor of the rooming house where I live. I think the rooms get better as you go down floor by floor. No, yes they do. I don't know. I don't know anybody who lives on the 3rd or 2nd floor. No, wait. I do know that there's a woman living on the 3rd floor, in the front. I know because she cries all the time. Whenever I go out, whenever I come back in, whenever I walk past her door, I always hear her crying. Muffled, but very determined. Very determined indeed. But what I'm getting to, and all about the dog, is the landlady. Now, I don't like to use words that are too harsh in describing people. I don't like to. But the landlady is a fat, ugly, mean, stupid, unwashed, misanthropic, cheap, drunken bag of garbage. And you may have noticed, I very seldom use profanity, so I can't describe her as well as I might.
You describe her vividly.
Oh, well, thanks. Anyway, this landlady has a dog, and she and her dog are the gatekeepers to my dwelling. The woman is bad enough. She leans around in the entrance hall, spying on me to make sure that I don't bring in things or people. And then, after she's finished her mid-afternoon pint of lemon-flavored gin, she always stops me in the hall. She grabs a hold of my coat and my arm, and she presses her disgusting body against me to keep me in the corner so she can talk to me. The smell of her body and her breath, you can't imagine. And then, somewhere at the back of that pea-sized brain of hers, an organ developed just enough to let her eat, drink, and emit, lies some foul parody of sexual desire. And I, Peter, I am the object of her sweaty lust.
Well, that's horrible. That's disgusting.
Huh. But I have found a way to keep her off. When she comes to me, when she presses herself against me, and mumbles about her room and how I should come there, I merely say, but love, wasn't yesterday enough? And the day before? She puzzles, and makes slits of her tiny eyes. She sways a little, and then it is at this point, Peter, that I think I might be doing some good in that tormented house. A simple-minded smile begins to form on her unthinkable face. She giggles and groans as she thinks about yesterday and the day before, as she believes and relives what never happened. Then she motions to that black monster of a dog she has and goes back to her room. And I'm safe until our next meeting.
I find it hard to believe that people like that really are.
Yes. It's for reading about, isn't it, Peter?
Yes.
And fact is often better left to fiction. You're right, Peter. At any rate, what I've been meaning to tell you about is the dog. I shall now.
Oh, yes, the dog.
You're not thinking of going, are you?
Well, I don't think so.
Because after I tell you about the dog, do you know what then? Then I'll tell you what happened at the zoo.
Oh, you're full of stories, aren't you?
You don't have to listen. Nobody's holding you here. Remember that. Keep that in mind.
I know that.
You do? Good. The story of Jerry and the dog. What I'm about to tell you has something to do with the way that it's sometimes necessary to go a long distance out of the way in order to come back a short distance correctly. Or maybe I only think it has to do with that. Well, it's why I went to the zoo today and why I walked northerly rather, until I came here. All right, the dog, I think I told you, is a big black monster of a beast. An oversized head, tiny, tiny ears, and eyes, bloodshot, infected maybe, and a body you can see the ribs through the skin. The dog is black, well, all black except for the bloodshot eyes, and yes, an open sore on his right forepaw. That is red too. And oh yes, the poor monster. And I do believe it's an old dog. It's certainly a misused one. Almost always has an erection of sorts. That is red too. And what else? Oh yes, there's a gray, yellow, white color too, when he bears his fangs, like this. He did that the first time he saw me, the day I moved in. I worried about that animal from the very first moment I saw him. Now, animals don't take to me like St. Francis had birds hanging off him all the time. What I mean is, animals are indifferent to me. Like people, most of the time. But this dog wasn't indifferent. From the very beginning, he'd always go for me to get one of my legs. Not like he was rabid. He was kind of a stumbly dog. But he wasn't half-assed either. It was a good stumbly run. But I always managed to get away. Oh, you got a piece of my trouser right there. Look, you see there? Where it's mended? He got that the second day I lived there. But I managed to kick free and get up the stairs fast, so that was that. I still don't know to this day how the other roomers manage it. But do you know what I think? I think it has only to do with me. Cozy. Anyway, this went on for over a week. Whenever I went in, but never when I went out. That's funny. Or it was funny. I could pack up and live in the street for all the dog cared. Well, I was thinking about it up in my room one day, one of the times after I bolted up the stairs, and I decided. I made up my mind. First, I'll kill the dog with kindness, and if that doesn't work, I'll just kill him. Don't react, Peter. Just listen. So, the next day, I went out, bought a bag of hamburgers, medium rare, no ketchup, no onions. And on my way back home, I threw away all the rolls and kept just the meat. Well, when I got back to the rooming house, the dog was there waiting. I half opened the door to the entrance hall, and there he was. It figured. I went in, cautiously. And I had the hamburgers, you remember. I opened the bag, and set the meat down about 12 feet away from where the dog was snarling at me, like so. He snarled, started snarling, sniffed, moved slowly, and then faster toward the meat. And when he got to the meat, he stopped and looked at me. I smiled, but tentatively, you understand. Then, he turned his head back to the meat again, smelled, sniffed some more, and then he tore into them. It was like he'd never eaten anything in his life before. Well, except like garbage, which may very well have been the truth. I don't think the landlady ever eats anything but garbage. But he ate all the hamburgers, almost all at once, making sounds in his throat, like a woman. Well, after he'd eaten all the hamburgers and tried to eat the paper too, he sat up and smiled. I think he smiled. I know cats do. It was a very gratifying few moments. But then, bam! He went for me again. He didn't get me this time either. So, I went up the stairs, lay down on my bed, and got to thinking about the dog again. To be truthful, I was offended. And I was damn mad too. There were 6 perfectly good hamburgers, without enough pork in them to make it disgusting. Yeah, I was offended. But after a while, I decided to try it again for a few more days. If you think about it, this dog had what amounted to an antipathy toward me, really. And I wondered if I might not overcome this antipathy. So, I tried it again for 5 more days. But it was always the same. Snarl, sniff, move, faster, stare, gobble, smile, snarl, bam! Well, by this time, Columbus Avenue was strewn with hamburger rolls, and I was less offended than disgusted. So, I decided to kill the dog. Oh, don't be so alarmed, Peter. I didn't succeed. The day I tried to kill the dog, I bought only 1 hamburger and what I thought was a murderous portion of rat poison. When I went to buy the hamburger, I told the man not to bother with the rolls. All I wanted was the meat. I expected some reaction from him. Like, we don't sell hamburgers without rolls. Or, what are you gonna do? Eat it out of your hands? But no. He smiled benignly, wrapped the hamburger in wax paper and said, "A bite for your pussycat." I wanted to say, no, not really. It's part of a plan to poison a dog I know. But you can't say a dog I know without sounding funny. So, I said, a little too loud, I'm afraid, and too formally, yes, a bite for my pussycat. People looked up. It always happens when I try to simplify things. People look up. Ah, that's neither hither nor thither. Well, on my way back to the rooming house, I needed the rat poison and the hamburger together in my hand. At this point, feeling as much sadness as disgust. When I got back to the rooming house, the dog was there waiting. Waiting to take his offering and then jump me. Poor bastard. He never did learn that the moment he took to smile gave me time to get out of range. But there he was, malevolence with an erection, waiting. I put the poison patty down, moved toward the stair, and watched. The poor animal gobbled the food down as usual, smiled, which made me almost sick. And then, bang! But I sprinted up the stairs as usual, and the dog didn't get me as usual. And it came to pass that the beast was deathly ill. I knew this because he no longer attended me, and because the landlady sobered up. She stopped me in the hall on the evening of the attempted murder and confided the information that God had struck her puppy dog a surely fatal blow. She had forgotten her bewildered lust, and her eyes were wide open for the first time. They looked like the dog's eyes. She sniveled and implored me to pray for the animal. I wanted to say, but madam, I have myself to pray for. The Black Queen, the Puerto Rican family, the person in the front room whom I've never seen, the woman who cries deliberately behind her closed door, and all of the people in all rooming houses everywhere. Besides, madam, I don't understand how to pray. But, to simplify things, I told her I'd pray. She looked up. She told me I was a liar, and that I probably wanted the dog to die. I told her, and there was so much truth here. I told her I didn't want the dog to die. I didn't! And not just because I had poisoned him. I'm afraid that I must tell you, I wanted the dog to live, so that I could see what our new relationship might come to. Please understand, Peter. This sort of thing is important. We have to understand the effects of our actions. Well, at any rate, the dog recovered. I have no idea why. Well, unless he was a descendant of the puppy that guarded the gates of hell. Or some such resort. I'm not up on my mythology. Are you? At any rate, and you missed the $8,000 question, Peter. At any rate, the dog recovered its health, and the landlady recovered her thirst, in no way altered by the Bow Wow's deliverance. When I came home from a movie that was playing on 42nd Street, not a movie I'd seen, or one that was very much like one, or several I'd seen, when the landlady told me that Puppykins was better, I was so hoping for the dog to be waiting for me when he got back. I was, how would you put it now? Enticed? fascinated? No, I don't think so. Heart-shatteringly anxious. Yes, I was heart-shatteringly anxious to confront my friend again. Yes, Peter, friend. That's the only word for it. I was heart-shatteringly, etc. to confront my doggy friend again. Got back to the entrance hall, opened the door, and advanced unafraid into the center of the entrance hall. The dog was there. I stopped. I looked at the dog. The dog looked at me. I think we stayed a long time that way. Just still. Stone statue. Just looking at one another. Well, I looked longer into his face than he looked into mine. Well, I can concentrate longer looking into a dog's face than a dog can look into mine. Or anybody else's face for that matter. But for that 20 seconds, or 2 hours, that we looked into each other's face, we made contact. Now, here's what I wanted to happen. I loved the dog now, and I wanted him to love me. I tried to love and I tried to kill, and both had been unsuccessful by themselves. I hoped. And I don't really know why I expected the dog to understand anything. Least of all my motivations. But I hoped that the dog would understand. It's just, if you can't deal with people, you have to make a start somewhere. With animals, don't you see? A person has to have some way of dealing with something. With a bed, with a cockroach, with a mirror. No, that's too hard. That's one of the last steps. Oh, with a cockroach, with a carpet, with a roll of toilet paper. No, not that either. That's a mirror too. Always check bleeding with, You see how hard it is to find things? With a street corner, with a wisp of smoke, with pornographic playing cards, with a strong box, without a lock, with love, with vomiting, with crying, with fury because the pretty little ladies aren't pretty little ladies, with making money with your body, which is an act of love, and I can prove it, with howling because you're alive, with God. With God, who is a black queen who wears a kimono and plucks his eyebrows, who is a woman who cries with determination behind her closed door. With God, who I'm told turned his back on the whole thing some time ago. With someday, with people. With an idea, a concept, and where better? Where better in this humiliating excuse for a jail to communicate one single simple-minded idea than in an entrance hall? Where? It would be a start. Where better to make a beginning, to understand and just possibly be understood, the beginning of an understanding, than with a dog. Just that. A dog. It seemed like a perfectly sensible idea. After all, man is a dog's best friend, remember? At any rate, the dog and I looked at each other. I longer than the dog. And what I saw then has been the same ever since. Whenever the dog and I see each other, we always stop wherever we are. We regard each other with a mixture of sadness and suspicion. And then, we feign indifference. We walk past each other safely. We have an understanding. It's very sad, but you'll have to admit that it is an understanding. We had made many attempts at contact, and we had failed. The dog has returned to garbage, and I to solitary but free passage. Well, I have not returned. I mean to say I have gained solitary free passage. If that much further loss can be said to be gained. I have learned that neither kindness nor cruelty by themselves, independent of each other, creates any effect beyond themselves. And I have learned that the two, combined together at the same time, are the teaching emotion. And what is gained is loss. And what has been the result? The dog and I have attained a compromise. More of a bargain, really. We neither love nor hurt, because we do not try to reach each other. And was trying to feed the dog an act of love? And perhaps was the dog's attempt to bite me not an act of love? If we can so misunderstand, then why have we invented the word love in the first place? The story of Jerry and the dog. The end. Well, Peter, what do you think? Do you think I'll be able to sell that story to the Reader's Digest? And make a couple of $100 for the most unforgettable character I've ever met? Oh, come on now, Peter. Tell me what you think.
I don't think I understand. Why did you tell me all of this?
Why not?
I don't understand.
That's a lie.
No, it's not.
I tried to explain it to you as I went along. I went slowly. It all has to do...
I don't want to hear anymore. I don't understand you. Or your landlady, or her dog.
Her dog? I thought it was mine. No, you're right. It is her dog. I don't know what I was thinking. Of course, you wouldn't understand. I don't live in your block. I'm not married to two parakeets. Or whatever your setup is. I am a permanent transient. And my home is the sickening roomy houses on the west side of New York City, which is the greatest city in the world. Amen. And I'm here. And I'm not leaving.
Well, you might not be. But I must be getting on now.
Oh, come on. Stay a little while
No,
longer.
I must get home.
Oh, come on. Stay a little while longer. Come on.
Stop that! I'm gonna get home. The parakeets are making dinner. And the cats are laying at a table around here.
Peter?
What is it, Jerry?
Listen now.
Yes.
Do you want to hear about what happened at the zoo?
Oh, well, what happened at the zoo? I had my own zoo there for a minute, what with the parakeets or whatever it was.
Yes, Peter. That was very funny. I wouldn't have expected it from you. But do you want to hear about what happened at the zoo or not?
Oh, by all means, tell me what happened at the zoo. I had my own zoo there for a minute.
Now, I'll let you in on what happened at the zoo. But first of all, let me tell you why I went. I went to the zoo to find out more about the way that people exist with animals. And the way that animals exist with each other. And with people, too. It probably wasn't a fair test. What with everybody separated by bars from everybody else? The animals for the most part from each other, and always the people from the animals. But if it's a zoo, that's the way it is. Move over.
Oh, I'm sorry, haven't you enough room?
And all the people are there, and all the animals are there. And it's Sunday, so all the children are there. Move over.
All right.
And it's a hot day, so all the stench is there too. And all the balloon sellers, and all the ice cream sellers, and all the seals are barking, and all the birds are screaming. Move over.
Look here. You've got more than enough room.
And I'm there. And it's feeding time at the lion's house. And the lion keeper comes into the lion cage. One of the lion cages. To feed one of the lions. Move over!
I can't move over anymore. And stop hitting me.
Do you want to hear the story?
I'm not so sure I do. I certainly don't want to be punched in the arm.
Like that?
Stop that. What's the matter with you?
I'm crazy, you bastard.
That isn't funny.
Listen to me, Peter. I want this bench. You go and sit on the bench over there, and if you're good, I'll tell you the rest of the story.
But whatever for? Besides, I see no reason why I should give up this bench. I come here every Sunday afternoon in good weather. It's secluded here. There's never anybody here, so I have the bench to myself.
Get off this bench, Peter. I want it.
No.
I said I want this bench, and I'm going to have it. Now get over there!
People can't have everything they want. It's a rule. You should know that. People can have some of the things they want, but they can't have everything.
Imbecile! You're slow-witted.
Stop that.
Vegetable, go lie down on the ground.
You listen to me. I've put up with you all afternoon.
Not really.
Long enough. I've put up with you long enough. I listened to you because, well, I thought you needed to talk to somebody.
Oh, you put things well. Economically. And yet, what is the word? I want to put justice to your... Jesus, you make me sick! Get up here and give me my bench!
My bench!
Get out of my sight!
Get away from me! This is my bench, you can't have it, and that's that! Go away! Just get away! You're a bum, that's what you are. If you don't move on, I'll call a policeman and get him to make you go. I warn you, I'll call a policeman.
You won't find a policeman over here. They're all over on the west side of the park, chasing fairies down from trees or out of the bushes. That's all they do. That's their function. So go ahead, scream your head off. It won't do you any good.
Police! I said, police! Police! God, I feel ridiculous.
You look ridiculous. A grown man screaming for help on a bright sunny Sunday afternoon in the park with nobody harming him. If a policeman did come trudging over this way to fill his quota, he'd probably take you in as a nut.
Great God. I just came here to read, and now you want me to give up the bench? You're mad.
Hey, I got news for you, as they say. I'm on your precious bench, and you're never gonna have it for yourself again.
I don't care if it makes any sense or not. This is my bench, and I want you off it!
Look who's mad.
Get out!
No.
I warn you.
Do you know how ridiculous you look now?
It doesn't matter. Get away from my bench!
Why? You have everything in the world you want. You told me all about your wife, your daughters, your family, and your own little zoo. You have everything. And now you want this bench. And these the things men fight for? Tell me, Peter. Is this bench, is this iron and this wood, is this the thing in the world you'd fight for? Can you think of anything more absurd?
Absurd? I'm not going to talk to you about honor, or even try and explain it to you. Besides, it isn't a question of honor, but even if it were, you wouldn't understand.
You don't even know what you're saying, do you? This is probably the first time in your life that you've had anything more trying to face than changing your cat's toilet box. Stupid. Don't you have any idea, not even the slightest, what other people need?
Oh. Well, listen to you. You don't need this bench, and that's for sure.
Yes, I do. I do.
I've come here for years. I've had hours of great satisfaction, great pleasure, sitting right here. And that's important to a man. And I'm a responsible person. And I'm a grown-up. This is my bench, and you have no right to take it away from me.
Fight for it then. Defend yourself. Defend your bench.
Right. You pushed me into it. Get up and fight.
Like a man.
If you insist on mocking me further.
Well, I have to give you credit for one thing, Peter. You are a vegetable, and a slightly nearsighted one, I think.
Enough!
But you know, as they say on TV all the time, and I mean this now, Peter, you have a certain dignity.
Stop!
Very well, Peter. We'll battle for the bench. But we're not evenly matched.
You are mad. You'll start raving mad. You're going to kill me?
There you go, Peter. Pick it up. You have the knife. Then we'll be more evenly matched.
No.
Now you pick up that knife and you fight. Fight that goddamn bench.
Help!
Fight. You fight, you miserable bastard. Fight for your manhood. You pathetic little vegetable. You couldn't even get your wife with a male child.
It's a matter of genetics, not manhood, you monster. That's it, I've had enough of you. Get out of here, leave me alone.
So be it.
Oh my God!
thank you very much. I came unto you, and you have comforted me, dear Peter.
My God.
But you better go now. Somebody might come by. And you don't want to be here if somebody comes by. I'll tell you one thing though, Peter. You're not a vegetable. It's okay. You're an animal. You're an animal too. But you better go now. Hurry along. Hurry along now. No, Peter, wait your book. Come and get your book. Over here on your bench. My bench, rather. That's it, Peter. Good. Good. Hurry along now. Parakeets are setting the table. The cats are getting the dinner ready.
Oh my God!
Oh my God!
Thank you.